Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gary Shapiro with the Consumer Technology Association, and I want to welcome you to this amazing new event, the New American Jobs Summit. Thank you. That was applause. I heard. Thanks. Yeah, all right, wake up. So the truth is, since those of you who came here early enough to start on time, I want to give you some actual, honest insight that no one else will hear all day. Like him or hate him, this started because of the election of President Trump. And what President Trump's election changed was the dynamic in corporate boardrooms across the country. They figured out that instead of focusing only on complying with the laws and regulation, and thousands of them, as complex as they were in the United States, they had to consider something else. And that was, what loyalty or responsibility did they have to the United States as their home country? And it forced a discussion of whether American workers they have, whether their plants are located, where the jobs are located, and what obligation they had to train. And it forced a more of an ethical discussion than a legal discussion. And I think it was a very significant one. So what we're going to be talking about today is our responsibility as Americans, as an industry, in a sense, to the next generation, so that they will have jobs which are meaningful, which pay well, and which keep the U.S. on top. We have here a cross-section of the U.S. tech sector. We have different companies, associations, industry, think tank, and of course, government as well. And tech industry is important because we support more than 15 million jobs today, and that's $3.5 trillion of direct and indirect impact on the economy. It's very big, and it's obviously an area that has grown dramatically in the last few years. At the same time, we recognize that the labor force is going through some incredible disruption. And that disruption is something that we want to deal with directly, because we know, honestly, that we're part of the reason there is disruption. At CTA, we created something called the Disruptive Innovation Council, which is focused on those companies and industries which are using technology to make a total difference in how the world operates. And it does have an impact, though. We have to recognize that. From 2000 to 2010, the manufacturing industry in the United States lost more than 5 million jobs. And that's the largest drop ever in employment in such a short period of time in one industry. Now, contrary to what some have said on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, it has not been due to trade. 9 in 10 of those jobs have been due to automation, technology, a different way of doing things which frankly doesn't require as many humans. Already today we have more than 260,000 robots working in U.S. factories. And what we're doing is we're rapidly shifting from low-skilled labor to highly skilled talent to manage the automated process. But we know that disruption has always been the hallmark of progress and of technology, and we've had to deal with it before. In the 1880s, Luddites rebelled against factory owners. These are the people who had jobs, even in their homes. They had weaving, and they did weaving, and it was paid really well. There was even fixed prices. The prices were published. And the weavers were so upset in England that they went around for almost a full year until thousands, actually tens of thousands of troops not only struck them down, but killed a lot of them. But they were just going out and destroying several thousand weaving looms in factories each month. And there was a lot of negotiations for minimum wage, the pensions and minimum labor savings failed, and they just, basically that entire movement was shut down. But we've seen it when automobiles outplaced horses and buggies, aviation displaced the railroad system, and the internet did away with what was my mother's job, which was selling encyclopedias door to door, World Book Encyclopedia. That's why I'm paying my revenge here and promoting the internet. No. But the fact is, this technology and this change is for the better. It is better for anyone to have access to the internet than to have to buy a very expensive encyclopedia. It's better because we can have access to information, education, entertainment, better healthcare very quickly, just at our fingertips. But it does make us uncomfortable. It makes us uncomfortable because you are disrupting individual people's lives, and you have to have some empathy and understand that you are taking and transforming what people have spent their entire lives doing, a skill they've developed, a comfort level they've had, job security, financial security. And I think it's something we should talk about and recognize and see what it is we could make that transition easier, how we could shift skills, mid-career or even early career or before the career. Because the bigger picture of opportunity is too big to let go with an anti-technology fervor, which could occur as it did with the Luddites. The better picture and the bigger picture are the fact that we know that over 35,000 Americans and over 1 million people worldwide are killed every year in car accidents, and we know almost all of those can go away with technology. We know that many of us in this room and our fellows and our colleagues and our relatives and our friends are beset with maladies and illnesses and pain and diseases which technology will alleviate increasingly because of different developments in genetics and so many other areas of medicine. And that's why we're here today, because the internet, the smartphone, the self-driving car, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, as well as machine learning, all of these things are going to get better and better and quicker, almost logarithmically, and they are going to dramatically affect not only our health and make it better, and our education and so many other aspects of our lives, but they're going to affect people's jobs as well, and we have to prepare for those tremendous and radical shifts. In fact, there's such big radical shifts that other countries are doing some pretty dramatic things. Finland is experimenting with universal basic income, which would basically give Finns the equivalent of $580 a month guaranteed. You don't have to work. You get an income. You can be perfectly healthy and get an income, and that's in lieu of other social benefits. France is creating individual training accounts where workers can accrue tuition funds, paid leave to pursue reskilling opportunities. Even here, AT&T has announced for 100,000 workers that they will be retrained for free. Of course, they have to do it on their own time, and if they don't do it, there's probably no job for them in the future as AT&T shifts its technology dramatically. So what should we do as business leaders, as the lawmakers, and several will be here today, as regulators, as educators? We want everyone to come to the table, and this is just what I hope is the first in the beginning of a dialogue, a national dialogue to discuss these incredibly important issues. We have some of the brightest minds with us today to give a perspective, to focus on it. Because we see, of course, that technology is improving our lives. We have smart cities already, which are developing quickly, which not only ease traffic congestion, but they help with environmental problems. They cut down on energy usage. I've mentioned self-driving cars already, but like a city like Boston has a Vision Zero initiative that aims to end serious and fatal traffic crashes using cameras and sensors and signage. We're seeing with virtual reality how doctors refine new procedures in patients suffering from dementia. Even PTSD can get better. And there's disruption everywhere, even in this city where 1 out of 11 residents is a member of the Bar Association. Lawyers would be dramatically affected. Now please take out the Kleenex. But a lot of the functions that lawyers do in terms of reviewing contracts and things like that, already there's machine learning which recognizes patterns and differences and points out the deltas so you focus on what you should really focus on. We have some big questions to ask about our future, and we're going to be talking about some of them today. I mean, will everyone have a job? Does everyone need a job? Should everyone have a job? Is it the role of government to have jobs? If so, what kind of jobs should they be? Should they use the body, or should they stimulate the mind, or should it be a combination of both? Do the jobs require social interaction? Is there a correlation between jobs and terrorism? Everything seems to revolve around a job, because if you have a good job that you are satisfied with, you're probably not likely to be causing disruption in the streets. And for us, how do we create the high-skill, high-wage jobs of the future? How do we ensure Americans are ready and prepared? And how do we recognize and assist those who lose their jobs because of technology? These are very important. And what is the role of immigration and job creating? If we put up a radical border around the whole country and never allow another immigrant in, is that going to create great American jobs, or is that going to lose them? We asked 300 of our own executives on their labor needs now and in the future, and you're going to hear in a minute what the results are. But the truth is we know we have a skills gap. There's 500,000 open computing jobs and only 43,000 computer science grads in 2016. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics has reported a shortage of 1.4 million software jobs by 2020. Now, the planning for today has been going on for several months because those who don't know, we are a nonprofit trade association representing over 2,200 American and Canadian companies. We think Canada is part of the U.S. 80% of them are small businesses and startups, and it's a consensus of our membership and our leadership that there's not enough positions that are skilled people for jobs open in our industry, and we can offer something here. So what we agreed as our top level just in December, actually, was we agreed to invest over $1 million as an organization in 5 programs. First, U.S. Tech Vets. This is a program I'm passionate about because having spent a couple of days on a carrier over in the middle of the Pacific, I realized that the military is our best jobs program there is. There's no question about it. You get 5,000 kids from challenging, thank you. You see 5,000 kids from challenged backgrounds, many of them, working together with a common mission, living in close quarters, cooperating, problem solving, discipline, showing up. We should be hiring more, and that's it's training, it's creating maturity and responsibility. I wish a lot of our Silicon Valley startup leaders had been in the military. And there's also, they're getting training in cybersecurity, network management, and cloud computing. So we're committing $250,000 towards expansion of our U.S. Tech Vets program, working with the Northern Virginia Technology Council. We'll increase our focus on employer engagement, and we're going to expand that as much as we can so people in our industry, companies in our industry, look to veterans as a first choice for workers. We also have our own program, the Mobile Electronics Certified Professional Program, which trains people to install products in cars, which requires a multi-level of skills. And it's been very good with at-risk youth, getting better paying technical jobs. We're trying to have community colleges look at it, vocational training programs, and we're looking at so many other things to get that program out there because there's a demand for MECP certified professionals. We're also going to have a jobs fair among our member companies as to see who can create the most or the highest percentage of jobs. And we'll be opening up 2 new CTA offices around the country and creating our own jobs. In fact, we're hiring our own jobs vice president, a position that's open today, to focus on jobs as a issue for our country. These investments are just a start, and we hope others will follow. But we're investing in other ways. We invest in something called EverFi, which is a Future Innovators Program in Clark County, Las Vegas, which teaches high school students important business and entrepreneurial skills and inspires entrepreneurial spirits. And we have a foundation which supports technologies that enable people of all ages and abilities to work independently. We have a very simple mission, and that's to promote innovation, because we believe that our national strength, and I hope our destiny, is that innovation is what separates us from the other countries in the world. And that requires many things, which is the subject of a couple books and a few hundred articles and different speeches. But one of the things we do, we just released recently, is our innovation scorecard, where we rank every state by how innovation friendly they are. And the fact is, the majority of states experienced job growth last year. That's the good news. In fact, 29 states had double-digit job gains. The bad news is that entrepreneurship dramatically fell. So the number of startups is going down in the United States. But we need policies and programs that support new jobs, entrepreneurship, and startups. And we'll dive into some of these ideas today. We have a phenomenal lineup of speakers. We have representatives from both sides of the aisle advocating for policies and that support and train a vibrant 21st century workforce. But first, join me in welcoming to the stage Steve Koenig, the Senior Director, Market Research, who will dig deeper into the results of our work survey. Steve.